Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the A3U review. This is episode 3 of season 8. We got a lot of stuff to look at, so Boris, what do we got for today?
I feel like we haven't done this for so long. I want to just throw everything on the table.
Let's do it.
But, I'll stop, thinking about it that way. But what I do want to think about is some of the cooler, newer things that we've gotten in recently. So we're going to have a lot of cool unreleased things to take a look at.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So we're gonna have a little bit of a goodie from the MakeToys cross dimension line.
Okay, that's nice.
So stay tuned for that. And then also we're gonna take a look at a MakeToys remaster line goodie. A lot of you guys have seen the resin prototypes of Contact Shot, but we actually now have a colored test shot that's very close to done, and we'd like to kind of take a look at it beside the rest of its predecessors.
Yes.
And then finally, we're just going to look at something that people have seen that, of course, in our hiatus we've missed out on talking about, and that is the Apollo Master-Made SD figure.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, and and then I just wanted to kind of talk about the whole Super Deformed line in general.
Sure.
So action-packed.
Yeah, it's a pretty loaded show. Yeah, it's gonna be great. So my name's Alex.
I'm Boris.
And you're watching
the A3U Review.
So we're going to kick off this episode by looking at something that you might be a little bit familiar with and something that is kind of new.
Everybody is probably familiar at this point with the Striker Manus from the MakeToys cross dimension line.
Yep.
The Striker Manus was very kind of took the fandom by surprise a little bit.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, I mean, I think he looks great in bot mode. In truck mode, a lot of people have seen it, and I think it was off-putting at first. A lot of the aesthetics we weren't used to it. I mean, in this whole gamut of masterpiece style figures now and cartoon accurate figures, I feel like the fandom's lost their way a little bit in terms of appreciating what actually brought third party to the front lines.
Yeah.
When Fans Project first came out, it was more of an adaptation. Their own kind of design infused with inspiration and spirit from the G1 era, maybe G2 era. But basically some sort of spirit from one of the series infused into their own designs.
Yeah.
That's what made it, for me, such an appealing thing. Not to say that it's not nice to have some cartoon accuracy and some masterpiece style figures, but I feel like there's been so much of that and so little of this that when people first saw this again, it was like, oh wow, someone's trying to do something different. I hate it. And I personally, I kind of didn't like it either at first, Alex. I was like, I don't know about this. And when I started playing with it, turns out it's probably one of the best figures I've played with this year. It's got a lot of playability, a lot of posability. You can actually do ab crunch, all this kind of stuff. Transformation is pretty cool. And once you kind of play around with it and you get used to the aesthetics, you're like, I kind of like that they've made some of these decisions and really like hard design decisions. Coloring is really nice too. So for all of you that don't know and aren't familiar with Striker Manus, great figure. I really recommend it if you haven't already picked it up. These are in short supply nowadays because it was so surprisingly good. But if red is not your flavor, there is a new version coming out. We've seen it at TIFFCon Chicago. It got kind of showed off there first, but now we're kind of looking at it for the first time on our review since the show. And if red wasn't the color for you to get into this figure, this black is amazing.
Oh yes, it is definitely a very, very nice black, a very deep black. And of course, if you already have the red and blue good guy version, you gotta have the nemesis or black version, the villain version. So all the colors that we're used to are there: the black, the turquoise, the grays, the gunmetal, and I think it's a great complement to this. I think a lot of people who already have this undoubtedly will end up getting this because it just goes so well together.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, it's really easy to overlook just how like well the design choices were made on this in terms of paint scheme.
Yeah.
And color scheme on both figures actually. But the telltale sign with Manus is that it's not a lot of over coloring and not a lot of, you know, extreme detailed paint in a lot of areas, but the areas that they hit really are very well thought out. So for example, you know, if you look at the Prime here, a lot of these yellow highlights that kind of give it that contrast.
Yeah.
A lot of the silver. It's really well balanced, and a nice way to be able to tell some of this sometimes when I look at a figure is, I kind of look at it from a perspective of when you're taking a photo of it, right?
Yeah.
When you take a video or photo of anyone.
Yeah.
When you don't see the bottom part and you're taking a photo, and it's very fathomable that you would take a photo of a figure
just from
the waist up.
Yeah, waist up,
right?
yeah.
You take photos of people all the time from the waist up.
Yeah.
And when you look at from the waist up, you still see like a good mixture of the yellow, just like a couple of highlights. It still has some of the blue. It's not overdone. You get some of the silvers in there. And then there's really well balanced, even when you look at, I mean, no one's gonna ever shoot the legs underneath, just the legs.
Yeah.
But it's got a nice balance from the bottom half as well. So anytime you shoot this figure, if you shoot it from the waist up, you shoot it from 3/4 of the way up, or a quarter of the way up, or even full figure, it gives it this balance.
Yeah.
And I feel like they nailed it with all of the turquoise colors. Like, take a look at that. They kind of hit it in the same spots as the yellow would have highlighted for the regular Manus.
Yeah.
And there's really not a lot I would change about it. It's simple yet super effective, the color balance on it. So aesthetically, paint job wise, it's beautiful. And like I said, it shares the same mold, so if you like the Manus the first time around and you wanted the black one, or you didn't know if you needed a red because you like the villains, this is the one to get.
Absolutely.
Also, to add fuel to this whole line is another figure that we're going to be taking a look at in the Cross Dimension series. Let's grab him.
Let's do it. So now we are looking at the Rioter Despotron.
That's right. So of course, can't have Prime without Megatron.
Yep. This is going to be a really great complement to this and this, because you got the original version, then you got the black version, and now the arch nemesis. So, wow, what a great looking trio.
Yep, that's right. And this is, I believe, very close to the final colors at this point.
It's looking good.
Yeah, the final box art is in the back as well. If I just move.
Yeah, here we go. It looks pretty
there.
cool. I like it.
Definitely a compliment to this whole series. I really like where this series is going. Like we talked about earlier, we've lost kind of that creative part of the third-party world a lot to the masterpiece kind of accuracy, but I feel like, you know, we're starving for something like this that has its own spirit, has its own character, while still paying tribute to some of the lines that are from our past.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of fans are focusing a little bit too much on screen accuracy, and they say like, oh, it's not like this because it never looked like that in the cartoon. But I think it's about time that the designers of these third-party products really started venturing into the realm of concept. You know, like their own concepts. And this is a great example of this, because like what we see here, I mean, we obviously know it's Megatron, but what they've done is something almost unheard of. It's a gun, but I love the changes.
Yeah, definitely. Not only does it have some really cool design cues, it has the ability to change its cannon. So I mean, all these kind of parts come out to kind of play around with it.
Yeah.
So this actually comes off his back, and it becomes this like huge like
super cannon.
Yeah, super cannon, where it kind of comes under his arm here.
His
yeah,
arm?
Yeah, just like in the armpit area.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like folds together.
Yeah.
Right, and then you kind of like slide this onto here now.
Yeah.
And attach.
Oh, it's like a waist cannon.
Yeah, it totally is a waist cannon. It's just got like all these
options
to really adds to the playability.
Totally.
He can kind of I believe like just kind of wield it underneath his arm like.
Oh, okay, all right.
Giant cannon.
Yeah. That looks cool, actually.
Exactly, but I mean, it also offers like kind of like fan modes. Like for me, you know, even doing something as simple as like disconnecting these two parts, and you know how fitting that we knock down Prime.
Yeah.
While we're doing this, is to even use these two parts, right? Like, you know.
Oh yeah, one on each side, right?
You just slide it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is not the way it was meant to be played.
Yeah. But you can do that.
Yeah. Prime.
Like it allows for a lot of options.
Are you not feeling very confident anymore?
Check that out, double waist cannon.
Yeah, it's just kind of cool because this can kind of pivot around too and like do kind of cool things. So, you know, it's one of those things where I really love, you know, in a figure where it just offers a lot of replay value and a lot of different ways you can pose it and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really looking forward to all of the stuff that's going to come out in the cross dimension line.
Yeah.
I hope they don't stop it here. I would love to see more. If you haven't put in a pre-order yet, Rioter Despotron is out on pre-order already. I highly recommend you pick this figure up because if the Manus was any indication, this is going to be another hot figure.
For sure. So now what we're gonna look at is the MakeToys Remaster Contact Shot.
You know, we talked a lot about the creative side of MakeToys, and now the Remaster series is more kind of in line with those who like the G1 accuracy.
Yep.
I do have to say the Remaster series is still nice in the sense that MakeToys still delivers some kind of they take some liberties still.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's not like 100%. You know, like the original.
That's right. They're not necessarily trying to like just make it exactly accurate. It's more accurate than the rest of their series, but there still is some liberties I think that work really well.
I would actually call them improvements.
Yeah. So carrying on the line is Contact Shot.
Yep.
And he comes with a Target Warrior. This is actually one of my favorite parts of the actual piece itself. Besides the fact that it very much resembles the toy that you had in the 80s. I believe it's Point Blank.
Point Blank, yes, that's right.
And he also came with a Target Master called Peacemaker. This is kind of their take on it for the Remaster series. And, you know, first off, the coloring, really cool.
Yep.
I really do like the coloring. Very accurate. And wow, what a massive vehicle, right?
Huge. Yeah. Like this is like bigger than Voyager class, I would even say. It's really quite bulky.
It's much bigger than the Masterpiece cars.
Yeah, I can tell right away.
It's a big Cybertronian vehicle. And that's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a Cybertronian kind of like I guess I don't know, sports car.
I guess so. Yeah, Cybertronian sports car, and I guess it has to be huge because well, he's got to fit the little guy in there.
Yeah, and it's actually a really cool thing that I wanted to talk about. I mean,
whoa, look at that.
When you reveal the cockpit here, you'll see that there's the little Target Master in it, or the Target Warrior. Yeah, they call it. But this guy's actually super detailed. Yeah, I love the detail on him. He's done really well, and he's got really cool kind of a transformation to him. It's not so one-dimensional either. Yeah. You know, his gun kind of comes out of there, and he has a little cap that comes from the other, the rifle, sonic blaster, and it actually kind of fits on, and he turns into the Target Master, which we'll show after in the robot mode. But the detail and everything, it's quite nice, actually.
For sure, absolutely agree. You know, it's funny because out of all of them that we've seen, and by all of them I mean the third-party headmasters, the cores, all those little guys that we've seen, this one is the most complex, I would have to say.
It's definitely one of my favorites.
And it looks really, really good. Like, there's just a lot of detail put into him, and there's so much you can do. It's not just a simple transformation where you just fold it up and then boom, it's there. Like, there's lots more you can do. It's very, very complex.
Why don't we get this guy into robot mode,
Yep.
and then we can turn him into the little target warrior that he's supposed to be, and just give a little bit of a comparison with the rest of the remaster line. I'd like to actually compare him with Iron Will, because that'll give you kind of a scale indication of like just how tall
Massive.
this guy stands.
All right.
Yeah, let's take a look.
So now we have contact shot in the robot mode, and just like you were saying before, how it's so close to the original. Wow, this is really, really. I mean, it's like a masterpiece. Point blank.
Yeah, definitely. He's got the wings, right? The classic wings that he had in the G1 toy.
Yeah.
And the character itself. I really like the feel of it. And as you can see, like as a robot, he's quite massive once again.
Oh yeah, that's a good size. I mean, it's definitely bigger than a lot of other robots that we're used to seeing, which are especially like the Masterpiece line, like you know, like Red Alert and Sideswipe, which are only like this tall.
Yeah, exactly. They don't they don't actually stand very tall next to him. They make him look like a giant. It's got that same massive appeal that the other headmasters in the remaster line. And actually, I have. Let's take a look at him beside Iron Will really quick.
Okay, let's do it. Look at that. Look at the size.
So yeah, as you can see, when he's like kind of standing, like he's actually, you know, he rivals Iron Will, and Iron Will was one of the bigger of the remaster series.
Indeed.
I mean, Cupola was already pretty big.
Yeah.
But Iron Will was like, you know, had that bulk as well.
Yeah.
But Contact Shot stands really well next to the headmasters.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people were all like, oh, that's that in scale. I mean, I don't know. They're Cybertronian like headmasters and target masters. I don't know what scale is at that point anymore, right?
You know, I'm completely not that concerned about like, is it really in scale? I'm more concerned about like how well does this guy look next to him, and I think it looks great just because they're the same. They're pretty much the same height, and it looks like that they go together. Like this is you know, like the styling cues are pretty much the same.
Yeah, I think it really creates a nice kind of Target Master Headmaster line, and then they still have their remaster, you know, G1 cars, you know, with Hound.
Yeah.
The gun dog. Then they had Megatron. Those scaled really well together. And then these few kind of scale along really well together.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what other things come out of their camp. Everybody, of course, knows that the Jazz is coming out.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's
really
gonna look good.
Yeah, that one's definitely looking really hot.
Cool.
Can't wait to see that entry into this line.
Can the fans see this guy on your website?
Yes, so this guy is up for pre-order right now.
Nice.
It mostly is resin shots up until this point, as I mentioned. But you know, these are getting close to the final colors. I think it's looking really good.
Yep. So if you like it, put in your pre-order. So now we're looking at something a little bit different than what we saw earlier in the episode. These guys are super deformed, all of them.
That's right, and some of these we've already seen,
Yep.
but I wanted to kind of bring it back out because we have, you know, Apollo, which was kind of the recent entry into this super cool, super deformed lines. And then there is also this bust that came out, which I'm going to talk about. Because a lot of people have asked a lot about the bust, don't quite understand the concept of why they came out with that, why Mastermade did that. This is a great way of, again, representing something that has this G1 spirit, but infusing it with something that's kind of cool and and unique.
Yeah.
This one here isn't made by the same company. This is actually by TFC. I just wanted to put it here because I really ended up liking the Hercules. Even though it sort of transforms into the different vehicles, the individual vehicles themselves don't also transform into their
the robots.
individual bots. But I mean, given what it is, it's kind of understandable. It's really not meant to do that. It's meant to be displayed kind of in its super deformed kind of way.
Yeah.
Whereas you know, these guys here, they kind of transform into their city modes.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is really quite cool. And then they come with these mini kind of like also kind of
this is
slightly
awesome.
super deformed you know, minions, Prime and Megatron.
Yeah.
Now, there is we're missing Metroplex here. I just didn't bring it. Metroplex is the Titan, which was also in the Mastermade line. And it came with a little mini City Commander, little mini Ultra Magnus.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like the aesthetic of all of these three things, when you have them all, including the Devastator, and Devastator also lights up like the rest of the Mastermade stuff. I think when you kind of look at it as kind of a whole collection, it really is a cool little like collection that doesn't take up a lot of space, but has like really great intricate design to it, especially the Mastermade stuff. I didn't put in the batteries yet, but I love the fact that all of this lights up as well, even the Triptychon. The main thing I want to talk about, most people have seen the Apollo now. It actually was really one of the things that set off the line, like, and really gave it some credibility. A very popular figure. But I wanted to talk more about the little accessory that came with it, because people were like, why the bust? What is this? A lot of people's first questions was, is it just like a standalone thing? It is, but it isn't. So it comes with a couple things. First of all, it comes with some extra accessories, these tubes. On the original Apollo product, it didn't come with these cool little like black piping tubes, which now in retrospect, I can't live without it.
Yeah,
It looks so
you have to have
awesome
it. Yeah.
with those tubes in.
I'm surprised that it didn't come with it originally, because it looks like it belongs. It always did belong there.
Yep, totally. Having said that, the bust itself is supposed to be kind of like more of a non-super deformed. So if you take a look at it,
Yeah.
the head is actually kind of
More
back to
proportional.
normal size. Yeah. Well, in fact, it's actually kind of a little small.
Yeah.
But you know, it can act as a bust, so it can actually sit there like your G1 Omega Supreme and light up. So
Yeah.
a lot of collectors, you know, there's a kind of a subgenre that likes to collect these like Iron Man busts.
Yeah, that's
Seen
right.
Before, and all these kind of busts, these kind of statues.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. Mastermade is really kind of tapping into these like collecting lines, right? And these very super niche, super specific style collectible that pay homage or have references or are licensed memorabilia. This bust is kind of cool because you can actually detach it, right? So you'll see there's a kind of a fitting and everything. And we're gonna attach it to Apollo here and remove the midsection that he's got going on there and actually attach the bust to the main Apollo and take a look at what it looks like, because that's actually also what it is meant to do, is to turn it into a less super deformed version of the Apollo.
Okay, so now we have the bust on the figure, and it looks like you took the super deformed out of this super deformed figure.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a little bit more proportionate.
Yep.
So it's actually, you know, not the full bust that goes on. So how it works basically is that, let's put that in front.
Yep.
There's the original bust.
Yeah.
You basically take the headpiece off of Apollo, and he becomes this little tank.
A little tank.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that in the regular transformation anyways. But that's what he just sits around as a tank.
Yeah.
And then that missing piece in the middle, then you replace it with the top of the bust.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the G1 style
The tracks.
tracks go in the back.
Yeah.
The original ones aren't as G1 style, as you noticed. They kind of look like this.
Yeah, they're a little different. And it's definitely more for aesthetic purposes, like wings on the original version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this kind of gives him this more G1S look.
Yep.
So it just offers this really cool, like, extra little playability with him. Personally, I like the super deformed look.
Yeah, it's a super deformed figure, so.
Exactly. But I mean, if you do have, like, any Iron Factory figures, for example, Iron Factory figures actually kind of look pretty cool.
Yeah.
Beside the Apollo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it ends up looking really interesting once you have that kind of dynamic going on.
Yeah, and even if you're not really into the more proportionate look, these tubes is something you just gotta have.
Yeah.
And with the more accurate tracks, I don't know, I prefer the more accurate looking tracks over those ones, actually.
I like them. I think it fits better when it's with this head for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, overall, you know, it makes it look a little bit more different.
Yeah.
And it's not too expensive of an add-on.
Yeah.
We have these available through the site. If you own Apollo, great time to grab that bust.
Yeah.
If you don't own Apollo, try to get in on the restocks. Yeah, this is a great line. I'm really looking forward to seeing where Mastermate goes with its next figure.
And that's our episode for today. We hope you enjoyed it. Hey, by the way, you just came back from Hong Kong.
I did. It was a great trip. Obviously, it's like the amount of toys over there is
the mecca of collectibles.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I might have some footage for you, Alex, you can put together for some of our fans.
Cool.
So maybe stay tuned for the next episode because we may have some goodies on there.
Yeah, so that's going to be a really exciting episode. And if you enjoyed this episode, we hope you will be back because we always have good stuff for you guys. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like us on Facebook at Ages3&Up, and also follow us on Twitter at Ages3&Up. We also got Instagram, Ages3&Up, and we'll see you next time. Peace.